I want to learn what other people's lives are like that might have similar experiences to what I've been through or what I'm going through. How do you stand in the sunshine? How do you make your own sunshine standing in the shadow of so-and-so?
And welcome everyone to another episode of Humanity 2.0 podcast, but this time it's super special because not only are we on location, not only are we with Chip White, but we are in a comic book store doing a podcast in San Antonio, which has the best tacos in the world. Just is what it is. Chip White, I met you at Podfest in Orlando.
You did. What a great conference, whatever, multimedia expo. I got to chat with you, did a little soundbite, met some amazing people. And by the way, welcome back to San Antonio. Welcome Nelco Comics here in San Antonio. And it is an actually working comic book shop. So customers may come in and out. We never know.
Yeah. And they also film podcasts here in addition to selling these amazing comics. And you were just showing me a really cool comic that your business partner made.
So we do the podcast Relatively Famous out of here, sitting at this desk.
Yes.
If I have a guest in town, they sit where you sit. I sit here. Otherwise, we zoom it in. We have cameras. Runs it all from the back in the studio.
Yeah.
And Philip Nelson, who owns Nelco Comics, Nelco Media, he produces the podcast, and he just produced his own comic book called Axicab, which is right up there. It's a little horror comic, so multimedia stuff going on in this little building.
So much stuff. You guys don't even know. You're only seeing like one bit of this. There's so much, and it's so cool. Mind your first step, though. I almost fell down. So Podfest happened, and then what did you do after that?
After Podfest, I booked my flight on Monday instead of Sunday because I was thinking it ran longer.
Yeah.
But I actually took that time, went back to my room. I pulled out every business card I'd picked up, every contact I'd made on Hoover.
Yeah.
And I sent an email to everyone just saying, hey, it was great meeting you, trying to keep those contacts going, which I never do because it's always like, oh, I'll do that when I get back. And we never do. So I actually took that time and reached out to everyone.
Yeah.
Got back to San Antonio, went back to work. So I was on and smiling, shaking babies and kissing hands for 3 days.
Does that get exhausting for you? Like, generally speaking, overall? I mean, you've been kind of doing that your whole life, haven't you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you're on, you got to be on.
100%.
And I'm not a tech person. I'm more the business guys. But it does wear you out more than you think it would. It's like, oh, you're just standing around doing nothing. I'm like, yeah, but they don't want to talk to you unless they have something. So you're trying to reel them in to come at least say, hey, and get their information. So it does get exhausting.
Yeah.
You're up on your feet for 8 hours basically. And but it's life.
Yeah, for sure. I hope you get like good rest after that. Go to the spa or something.
Good idea.
Here, actually, they have a floating spa. I think it's called Float SA. And I actually did some work with them, some commercial work, and it's like those sensory deprivation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing. So Float SA, you should definitely check them out.
Might kind of freak me out, man.
Actually, there's little lights in there, and it plays music. It's like, hello, Dave.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Hal, open the pod.
Right.
I can't do that, Dave. Come on, let me out.
Exactly. So let me set the scene for you guys. So I met Chip at Podfest. I walked up to a table, and there's a group of guys there, and I asked them, can I put my stuff down? And naturally, they say yes, because they're kind gentlemen. And then they say, you know what? You're doing all these little mini audiograms. Why don't you interview Chip White? And I was like, where is he? And they were like, oh, he's in the bathroom, or you were somewhere. Yeah. And so then you come back, and I'm like, hey, can I do a quick interview? And you were so gracious. What did you think when I just came up to you and was like, hey, can I interview you? I'm sure you're used to it being Vanna White's brother.
Not so much because it was Podfest. So you just never know. I mean, I saw people doing actual episodes from there. I saw people doing sound bites like you were doing. I saw people doing promos. So there's always, I'm lazy. I wasn't doing any of that. I think I did do 1 or 2 videos, but not maybe any of that.
Yeah.
And I'm used to people. I've been a guest on a lot of podcasts from various subjects. I spent 35 years in film and TV. So I've been on way before I started doing podcasting. I was a guest talking about film and filmmaking. I've taught in classes. I've spoken at colleges and high schools about it. I've been in recovery for 23 years. So I've been on podcasts talking about, addiction and recovering. So it's like, whatever, throw a subject. Let's see if I can have any experience in it.
Well, I had no idea who you were. I just walked up to this group of guys and they were like, oh, you need to interview him. He has so much to say, which you clearly do. And so it was an absolute pleasure to meet you and an absolute pleasure to be invited here to record the full episode with you. So just thank you in advance for all the wonderful information that you'll give.
I'm extremely glad you're here. I love the fact that you happen to be coming into town and wanted to come down to the comic book shop, to our studio, and
that's how production people do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just on the go. I carry audio devices all the time because if I'm going to get a video interview or an audio interview, it's in the moment.
Well,
all life happens in the moment.
Because we were fully set up, but my producer's in Dallas, so unfortunately had to pull your stuff out. But it would have been so much easier for you if we'd have just like, here,
100%.
plug this thumb drive in, and we'd have gone. But
I'm so glad that I remembered to bring all my stuff because I have to work anyway. I have pods to record.
Yeah.
I have clients to visit, family to see, people to, just craziness. But I'm super glad you're here. One of the first questions that we always begin with is, Chip, are you a good human, and why?
Am I a good human? I think we all like to think we are. There was, before I got sober, even when I was getting, if you'd asked me, I'm a great guy. And of course, then when you start going through the steps and you start doing the 4-step and you start doing a little inventory, you go, ooh, man, I'm not so sure I was a nice guy. I try to do the right thing. I get frustrated with politics. I get frustrated with people, as anybody does. Mm-hmm. I'm not picking a side on that because both sides frustrate me. Do I do the right thing all the time? No, not always. Do I have the intention? I think so. I think we all have the intention. It's how many times have you walked out of a store and someone said, "Hey man, you got $1?" And you go, "No, I don't have any cash on me." And when you got $5 in your pocket, get in the car and I feel guilty as I pull away. Sometimes I back up and say, "Look, you know what? I do have a couple bucks."
Yeah.
But I don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm amazed anyone that does the right thing all the time. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
Am I a good human? I'm not perfect. Working towards it. Progress. Am I going to make mistakes? Constantly. Am I going to do things that aren't gentlemanly or aren't politically correct or aren't in that? Absolutely, I'm going to.
But it's what you do after the fact that makes the difference. So I believe, Chip, that you are a good human because of the fact that you recognize that, yes, while you may have done things in the past or maybe do things even in the current time, you still recognize that difference, like, hey, but I could be better. I'm working on it. And then, pulling back. That speaks greatly of your humanity. It really does. So rest assured, you're a good human. Chip is human approved.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
But I really do believe that. I had interviewed somebody once, I believe his name was Bart Merrill, and he had told me a story about how he had been at the gas station. It was really cold, all of just like the environment and the noise. It was just a perfect storm for him to say no to somebody asking for a few dollars when he had $500 in his pocket. And then so he left, and after that day, he felt super guilty. And then the next person he met, he instinctively just gave it right away because of that feeling and that guilt that he had. And he goes on to tell some really amazing stories about people that he's helped just out of the kindness of his heart. But the fact that you have that guilt or just like that reflection afterward that says, man, I really feel bad about that and I really should have, but I feel bad. I think that's the difference.
Yeah,
is having that feeling.
I think some of that stands like in Charlotte and in LA. I don't know so much about San Antonio, but LA and Charlotte, there were people that, they stand on the corner. They got their corner. They stand there. All day long, and then they go get in their car and they drive to their apartment. And it's been proven, and I've seen it happen. And I think that puts a barrier to people that actually do need the help. So it's not that I don't want to help. And look, I don't care if you go buy drugs or buy alcohol. I don't care. But don't BS that, there's this one lady in Charlotte, man, she stands and cries on cue. And I've seen it. My wife said, "Here's my business card. Call me, I have a job for you." She disappeared from that corner for about 2 months because she didn't want to work.
Right.
But she was on another corner on the other side of town doing the same thing, doing the the crying on cue.
Yeah.
And I think the people that when you experience that pulls back that humanity that you want to give. If that makes sense, and there's oh man, I just need some gas for my car. Broke down the street. Well, let me fill your tank up. Well, no, but just give me the $5. You know, it's like, so I think those experiences have made it harder for people to believe. But then I'm trying to step back and go, well, you know what does it matter? You know?
Yeah. At the end of the day,
it's $1,
yeah.
it's $5, $100, whatever you can give.
Sure.
And if it helps, I'm trying to break past prejudice that I have towards them. You know, it's like, dude, you're lying. I know I've seen you get in the car nicer than mine around the corner. You know,
there are stories, there are articles where they've interviewed panhandlers who make significant more income than a lot of other folks who are working full time. So
there's an old TV show, Barney Miller. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's 70s, 80s.
Okay.
It took place in New York City Police Department, and they arrest this guy on the train for being a vagrant and for bumming. Call his wife. His wife shows up in furs and diamonds, and she's like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I got fired 2 years ago, but I make more money panhandling. He leaves home in his suit. He changes. He panhandled on the train and came home, and he said, I've been making more money panhandling than I was making.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, I actually carry like a little coin purse in my car of just singles. So whenever I see someone with the sign, I give them $1.
Yeah.
And it's, so it's a way to, give something. It's not super much, but, every bit helps. I mean, hell, even we're in that place sometimes. I mean, people that are working are facing, homelessness or being near homeless with their mortgages and rents. It's just ridiculous.
I have lived out of my change jar several times in my life,
Yeah.
So
how do you come back from that? Or, do you have kind of like a takeaway when you face those experiences and then come back to being part of the world? I know I can speak from experience as well, but tell me your side.
A lot of it was back in the days doing, a lot of drugs and alcohol, and still kind of functioning, just overspending, not being responsible. You're behind on your rent. You don't really have a job, but you're trying, sort of. I think you just bounce back when, for me, it's getting an opportunity to get a job and sticking with it. I will say my sister was never going to let me starve, so it wasn't like I was ever on the corner because she was like, okay, look, here's $100 here, do something. But I don't think so. I've always had that in the background.
The safety net?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, not that she would say, here's $100,000, go get your act together, but it would be like, she was never going to let me starve. Now, she wasn't also bailing me out on some things, which is great, because, I have to learn to do that.
Yeah.
And I think you just got to keep going. Look, I was 14 years sober, curled up on the sofa in a fetal position, wondering what the hell life was going to mean. What was my purpose? What am I going to do? Wasn't really working. So it happens no matter what in life.
Can I ask, the reason for your drug use and abuse, did it have to do with everyday life? Was it family? Was it what was it for you?
I was young, lived at the beach, started doing some stuff. We started drinking at an early age in the summer. Drugs became fun. They were working. And I wasn't trying to hide anything. We do drugs because we like the way it makes us feel.
Sure.
Now, do some people not want to feel something about something else or whatever? Sure. I can't say, well, I did drugs because my God thought it molested me. I can't say I did drugs because my mom died. Those things happened, but I would have done the drugs no matter what anyway. So I didn't do it to get away from something. It would and then it just took hold, and there was I couldn't not stop. I could not do it, right? Became unemployable, a horrible husband, a horrible dad, it controls your life. And again, I was fortunate that at the time my wife was working, or I had money enough that I wasn't homeless and it wasn't under a bridge, yet. If I go back out, that could be the yet.
So then your family dynamic, is it healed now? I mean, do you speak with your family?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my wife, we've been together 32 years. Got married in 1994, so what is that? I can't remember.
Who knows?
Coming on 32, I think.
Carry the 1,
yeah.
Add the 5. I'm not a math person.
Somewhere
I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah. You know, my son's 26. I
Sure.
talked to him today for 30 minutes driving up here.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he knows the story, but he doesn't necessarily remember because
Sure.
he was
Very
two and a
baby.
half
Yeah.
when I got sober.
Yeah.
But I tell him the story. I'm up front with him.
Yeah.
My sister and I have a great relationship. I was able for the last, 20 years of my father's life to be present, be able if he needed me,
Yeah.
So,
You didn't miss a lot.
no, I mean, my mom died in 1980, so she didn't get to see it, but
Yeah.
she also didn't get to see the complete.
Chip 2.0?
Yeah, she didn't get to see the rock bottom chip either.
Oh.
So, but
How long did it take for you to go from rock bottom Chip to Chip 2.0?
I'm still working on chip 2.0. I think that's a progress,
Yeah.
a continuous progress. I'm never going to be cured, so to speak. And again, like I said, I still make mistakes. I still do things that they teach you in sobriety not to do, or at least, think about before you do it, but I do it and then think about it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Dang, you know what? Oh, too late now. Should have thought about that beforehand.
Yeah.
But it wasn't overnight either. I remember getting sober and I'm a couple of months sober or whatever, and my wife had the nerve to ask me, "Are you even going to those meetings?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" I get all bent out of shape, and it's like, well, she has a right to ask that question because I put her through hell for many years.
And you're still together. That's amazing. They don't make women like that anymore.
She had a choice. I had been kicked out of the house, and she made a choice of like, all right, you can come back in the guest room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll figure it out from there,
Yep.
and see if you're going to really do the deal. And and look, still hasn't been easy on either one of us. There's ups and downs.
Sure.
We were talking about it before,
a lot of history too that probably comes up.
History, man. Not so much that anymore.
Okay.
It's just the life that gets in the way. It's not the past so much as today and tomorrow.
Yes.
Like, the worry about the job or the worry about the house or this or that. And it's like, it's not like, well, back, 30 years ago, that's not the part of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I mean is that from a mental perspective, you have memories that come up, right, of your past. You have flashbacks, and I'm sure she does too.
Yeah.
Because as an observer or somebody experiencing that life with you, they too must have memories that kind of come up and, just like little flashbacks. And then you kind of just observe it and you let it go.
I'm sure she does. I know there were points where she would look at me like wonder if,
Yeah. Are you good?
Is he good? You're acting a little weird, or
That's just Chip.
yeah. Well, look, when my son was becoming a teenager, I was like, he will never get anything past me. I've done it all. I did that. No way in hell am I going to know. And I would look at that kid and go, I am clueless if you're high at this moment or not.
Yeah.
Just you're in a good mood. I don't want to blow it if it's, So, he got away. He pulled the wool over my eyes.
Yeah. They do that. My son did the same thing, and I did everything like similar.
Yeah.
Did everything under the sun. There's nothing you can do. And sure enough, he's at a house party in a whole other city, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I keep going, is he? But I did do things that I did have a trick where I would find out, I'd look at him, he and his friends, and I'd go, ooh.
Birds.
And they would you'd see him like going, trying to, and he would tell his friends, and I'd go, your dad doesn't do that. And I looked at him, started doing it to him, and they're like, oh my God, he does do it.
That's so funny. So the humans are complex. And you meet so many different variables of humanity every day, I'm sure, across your life, all these interviews that you've done. Do you recall a situation where another human that you met just had like a shared moment of humanness with you, or it just left you walking away saying, man, that is a super awesome human, or maybe like they just displayed a level of empathy, or they just did something that stuck with you?
I've had people open up about their past unexpectedly. Had a guest on the podcast. I don't think she meant to talk about it, but her father was a pretty prominent singer-songwriter in Canada. And during her teen years, he came out as gay. The family disintegrated. He ended up passing away from AIDS in the 80s. And, it was devastating to her and embarrassing. And she really just kind of opened up about that part of her life that I don't think she meant to. And that really sticks with me about about
Yeah.
her willingness to share with the world.
One thing that I find, it's very interesting when someone just says something that's very open and honest and raw, and then they turn to you and say, you know, I have no idea where that came from, or I was not planning to share that. I don't know what you call that. There's got to be a word for that, but it's just, I'll just say magical.
That's
just,
magical comfort, you know?
Yeah, it's just cathartic. It's amazing to see, and then to know that you, whatever energies in you facilitate that openness for them to share these things is extraordinary.
Look, I remember the first time I shared my godfather, when I became my godfather, was a Methodist preacher. He got out of the ministry, molested me, and then moved away. But I remember first time really talking about that with someone, going, "Oh my God, I can't ever say anyone that because they're going to judge me as he's a closet gay because of his godfather." I'm like, it doesn't define me anymore. Didn't define who I became later in life. Didn't define my sexuality. But there was those moments, and that's something opening up right now that I don't do a lot.
Right.
I don't. The first thing out of a conversation with someone when I meet them is not, "Oh yeah, hey, I'm 23 years sober."
Right. Yeah.
That opens up if it happens in a conversation.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break with Chip White on Humanity 2.0 podcast.
Humanity 2.0 podcast is brought to you by Vanessa the Vivacious Productions. Want to be a guest? Visit the link in the episode description for future guest opportunities. Ready to podcast like a boss? Join Podmatch and begin your Podmatch journey via the link also listed in the description. Subscribe to Humanity 2.0 podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Follow and help support the show by buying Humanity a cup of coffee via buymeacupofcoffee.com/Humanity 2.0 podcast. Above all, don't forget to be good to other humans. With your podcast, you've interviewed so many different types of people who are relatives of famous people. You yourself are a relative of a famous person. And I purposely don't mention that now because I want to learn about Chip. And we're exploring Chip's humanity today.
Well, that's kind of the purpose of my podcast. Yeah. Google their relative. You can find out who they are. We're going to talk a little bit about them because they're established, but how do you stand in that light? How do you make your own sunshine when you stand in the shadow? Some shadows are huge. We've had a Morgan Freeman's son, a Clint Eastwood's daughter, Donny Osmond's son, Dolly Parton's sister. I mean, those are huge shadows, right? How do you make your own sunlight? And then others are, we had interviewed the great-great-great-grandson of Herman Melville. Now, there's no shadow there, right? But is that DNA? Are you a writer because of that DNA?
So, are you an awesome writer?
Yeah. So the shadow can be huge. The shadow can be a past. But what's your life like, and what does it feel to have that little, whether it's a little connection or a huge connection?
Yeah. And how did you phrase that about the sunshine? What did you say?
How do you make your own sunshine standing in the shadow of whatever that last name might be? So
2 questions. That question for you, and then also, do you turn letters very well as well?
Ooh, I'm a horrible speller. Horrible speller. And I got the worst handwriting in the world. So no, I don't turn them as well. I think for me, making my sunshine, and it's for anyone who's got an older sibling coming up through school, you're always, "Oh, you're so-and-so's little brother." They're really smart. What's it going to be like with you in class? So I think we all have that. If you're not an only child, we have that somewhere, whether you're older or younger, someone's going to compare you to the other. I think with Vanna, because she's so amazing, she's so generous, she's so sweet, she's always been protective and loving, that I'm not trying to step out of her shadow, and I'm not trying to ride the coattail, so to speak. Yeah, the podcast is very obviously playing on who she is. But the fact is she's my sister. I mean, why not enjoy it and learn something from other people who are in the same experience, might have the same experience. I'm the brother. I have no say on her career. I've never had anything to say, Now, I interview a parent, and it's different. You had to make a choice to support your kid or try to talk them out of it. It's different. It's a different interview. Cousin, different interview. Yeah, we just hung out a lot. Brother or sister, again, same thing. What was it like? You really don't control their career unless you're their manager or something.
Sure.
So It's been an interesting ride. My producer laughs because I've been in the film and TV business for 35 years before this. I've produced movies, I've acted in some stuff and all this. I worked at King World, and he goes, no matter what he does, the first thing or the third thing out of someone's mouth goes, oh, and that's Vanna White's brother.
I think that's the title of this episode, actually.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, that's okay.
And that's Vanna. Yeah, well, I mean, but I just think you're fascinating. I think that the podcast is a genius idea. Everyone that I've talked to about you wasn't about her. It was actually about this podcast, because I just think that there's so much and so many avenues that you can go down. And then you must have these very enriching, almost philosophical conversations sometimes. But just the concept of you interviewing their siblings, their family members, those people have stories that no one will ever know. Yeah. And they have takeaways that no one will ever know because they've observed it firsthand versus seeing it on television. It's totally different. So I think that yeah, you have an amazing show, and everyone that I've talked to about it is just blown away. So,
well, thank you. It's fun to do. Look, I'm not changing the world. People go, you've got humanity. You're trying to make a difference. I'm just trying to give you 30 minutes of entertainment, get you out of your head. Here's somebody else's life story. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you won't. It's film. It's TV. It's music. It's sports. It's tech. It's rodeo. If you're famous, you don't have to be a household name, but if you're famous in a genre, like Charlie Simpson is a rodeo god. He was an African-American bull rider from Compton. Now, everyday life means nothing. In the rodeo world, dude, man, that's half his relative means something in that world. So it can be across the board. I mean, we just recently did Roy Rogers and Dale Evans' granddaughter.
Wow. Robert
Mitchum's niece. I had Herman Melville's great-great-grandson. I've had Enrique Caruso's great nephew.
My goodness.
So there's this whole genre. And,
Yes.
and again, I'm not changing the world. It's a 30-minute conversation. We're not a niche. We get a lot of country music people, which are great.
Yeah, and you're in Texas, so you're in a perfect place for Texas musicians. I actually have a musician, my client, who's been part of the Texas scene for about 20 plus years, and she's based out of Waco, or she's born and raised there. And there's really good musicians that come out of Waco.
Patricia Vaughn, who is Robert Rodriguez's sister. She's an amazing singer and musician and castanet player,
Oh, really?
She's great. She sat right there, and she gave me a castanet
I'm sitting
lesson.
in a chair where famous people sat,
and
adjacent famous people sat.
Well, and some of people are famous in their own right.
Oh, yeah.
Patricia, she's known in the music world.
Yes.
And her brother's known in the film world.
Yeah.
So I could still interview Robert as Vanessa's sister. Patricia's sister.
He's going to interview my sister when I'm famous, just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm famous in the humanity space.
There you go.
Famous in the podcast space. But I'm working on a few films, and it's always been my mantra as a kid. I'm going to Sundance. And then I hear that Sundance is no longer going to be in Utah anymore after this year, and I was like, "What? You're kidding me?"
Okay, not to slam Sundance.
Yeah.
I went one year. Probably 4 years ago, right after COVID, kind of had this vision. I thought, and you had to back then. I don't know. So I had to buy your tickets ahead of time online, and no clue really what I'm buying. And I get there, you got to take a bus over to go watch this film.
It's like all spread out. Yes,
and everybody turned out like all these films I saw. I'm like. You guys turned my film down, and that made it in?
Yeah, there is some
but it turns out
creative stuff.
That made it in because, they were alumni. So I really got frustrated with it. Now, you want a good film festival? Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yes,
Beaufort
you told
International
me about
Film
that one.
Festival.
I'm
Love
applying.
that one.
I'm applying.
Rome, Georgia. These are small, but
they're good.
They love filmmakers, and they're fun. They're fun little festivals.
100%. You told me about that one. I wrote it down, and I'm so glad you said it again because I don't know where I put that paper.
Beaufort actually starts in next couple weeks here in February.
So it's annual in February. Okay, good. So then I'll be ready for next year.
Be ready for next year.
No way in heaven's earth that I would be ready.
Yeah.
I have a documentary, and then I have another one. But the documentary for sure is the one that's gonna go. It's finding my family's tribe, native tribe, and then also finding my father. So same film.
Yeah,
should be really interesting. A genealogist came aboard free. I interviewed him actually on another podcast way back when, and we've just stayed in touch. But apparently he's a genealogist, and I'm like, oh, party.
So what was the biggest challenge for you on that film?
Well, we're still working on it. We're in pre-production. The biggest challenge, I was actually working on a few other films. And so I was going to do this one last purposely because it's a huge deal. I mean, not every day that you go searching for your father. So I was purposely doing it last, but then I talked to a gal in Orlando over lunch. She said, well, as long as you have someone to talk to, support network, then you can do this. I started punching out the script and then working on, a bunch of budgets for production and all that good stuff. And then I get this email where this guy who I interviewed way back when was like, hey, I do this service and I already had ran DNA reports, so I know the regions of where we're headed. And so, we'll be filming in the US, filming in Mexico, filming, all over the place. I recently had an occurrence where I had to go to the ER and I had this kind of like almost trauma response, and it was brought up because of the research that I just did. So I'm kind of like, I knew this was going to happen, but it's part of the experience, and I'm documenting everything. So it's an emotional roller coaster, but I'll be excited when I figure out where, what tribe, and then also if we find my father. So I have to be okay if we don't. I have to be okay with that, which I used to live under the premise that you can't miss what you never had. And that served me well for 40 years or 41 years. And so now I just need to know. I just need to know. And I'm hoping it's not who I think it is. I hope to God it's not. If it is, I'll be in church for a while trying to deal with that.
Yeah.
But
again, if it was that person and their past is not your identity.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing some people forget is like, look, this is my father, man. There was no denying who my dad was.
Right.
I mean, Chip comes off Chip off the old block. I'm Herbert Stacker White III. And when I was a baby, people go, oh, that's Herbert's son. He's a Chip off the old block. So there's no denying. But, my father's life doesn't necessarily define mine, So I think whatever you find, it's not going to define, good or bad, it's not going to define what you've made of yourself.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you for that. Yeah. I found out that my mom had 15 siblings, not 11.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's that. And I've been, having to communicate with family members that I haven't talked to in years. And it's insane. But I'm looking forward to getting it completed 100% this year. It's going into festivals next year. Yeah. No doubt. And then just that indigenous aspect. And the other film that I'm working with as an EP for a Mexican horror film, it's called Charcoal Women. It's based off of La Llorona and cultural tales. I feel like a lot of cultural films and indigenous films are getting, their shot in the current time. And so that's exciting for us.
If a film is made well, it's going to get noticed, or it should get noticed. When I produce a film, people go, what did the camera use? I'm like, look, I don't know. Here's the deal. I'm going to ask you as a camera guy, as a DP, can you produce, I want it to look like a movie. I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 3 hours. It's got to feel like a movie. It's got to sound like a movie. And I don't want people going, oh, that was a nice video. I want people to go, wow, that was amazing. I want more. Can you give me that? Yes. Okay. How much do you need? Here's your budget.
Yes.
So it's got to be those things for me. And the films that I've worked on, I think we've achieved 90% of the time. You give me those, and I will do everything in my power as a producer to make sure you have what you need to make it happen.
Right. Right. Because the technical aspect of it is important, sure, but the storytelling and that connection, that is the foundation. That's everything. Yeah. I'm the same way. I will not work on a project if I don't feel it, if I don't believe in it. So then when I got this Mexican horror film, I read it, and then I had a meeting with their production team, and I was ready to turn it down if it wasn't resonating, but I understood what they were building, what they were coming for. So I signed on. Usually you take time, but it was just something that, okay, let's do this.
So they're probably looking for investors.
Yes. Yes.
Horror films probably have your best option of at least breaking even versus most other films.
Yeah. So we'll talk after that.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break with Chip White on Humanity 2.0 podcast. 8.2 billion people in the world, and look at us. We're so alone, and it's so not okay. My name's Vanessa, and I spent the last 4 years traveling America, interviewing strangers on video and podcast, and I learned so much about humanity. But why is this important, and why should you care? Well, I have thousands of hours of footage that has never seen the light of day, but it shows humanity at its best. So I'm taking these interviews, I'm sharing them here with you in hopes that we can spark our love for one another. There is still time, I know it. Follow for more. Your sister, were you guys always close? Or did you have times in your life where you weren't very close?
We've always been pretty close. She's always been very more protective and big sister, and I've always, I hate to say it, been kind of the bratty little brother. We have 2 dogs, an older lab and this new, we call it street dogs. We've rescued him off the street. And he's kind of a bully, but he's got to bust in the door first, and it's like, man, that kind of reminds me of when I was little and my sister, I was kind of a jerk, I mean, when she went off to college, I've told this story 100 times. I've got probably every letter and card she's ever given me all my life. I've saved them. I don't know why, but I have. And, go back and look, and one of them says, "Write me back, you little shit."
Yeah.
She was always writing and just dropping a card,
That's
she
so
would,
funny.
and she still does it to this day. And I don't follow through like that. I mean, we talk a lot, but I always still feel like kind of the
little brother,
the bullyish little brother, like, look at me, I've got this podcast, and but she's supportive. Now, when we do movies, when I first started, she was like, okay, she's heard, because she had heard my BS for years, right? I was getting high as a kite, nothing was happening. Once we got them done, she goes, wow, that's actually really good. So what are you guys doing next? And then she'd go, okay, here's some seed money. She wouldn't finance it, but she would say, here's some seed money. Here's some seed money. Because it took years to prove that what we were making, again, it was a movie. It wasn't a good video. It wasn't.
Yes.
And we were getting into film festivals, and we were winning film festivals.
That's amazing.
And so she's like, okay, you guys are actually doing really good work. Yeah, I'll give you some money and put my name on that as EP. So.
I had been working on this documentary about a ballerina with MS, and her whole life was ballet, but it wasn't just because she enjoyed it. It was about her regaining her faculties and learning how to walk again and extend her hands. And so ballet helped her get that back. And then when I finished a rough cut and I was watching it, it looked like a news package. And I was like, this is a news package. It's like, here's Kate. See Kate run. See Kate jump.
Yeah.
Kate's 18. Something's not right. And then so I was in Salt Lake City. This was, I think, during Sundance, but I was there interviewing strangers about happiness for this docuseries. And we were in the buffet room at the Sheridan, and there's this lovely older couple. And I talk to everyone because I just love to hear every human story. I'm like that. If you're married to me, you'll know. If you date me, you'll know. I talk to everybody, but then we have amazing conversations and adventures, just saying, Anyway, so I go to this couple, we have breakfast, I interview them, and then I find out that the husband works for the BBC. He's a cameraman for the BBC, so he's seen some stuff, obviously. And so I said, I have this documentary that I'm working on. Can you give me some feedback on what the heck is going on here? And he gives me the best, simplest piece of advice, just to run like a different subplot that's complementary, but it has a little bit of intrigue, and it kind of carries and propels it forward, so it feels more cinematic as opposed to, here's a news package, news at 8 with Chip. So it works. It works. And now I'm still, gathering some final footage, but it works. And I was just like, dude, just this random person. Just
a different perspective.
Yes.
We did a short called A Chess Player. It was Shay wrote, and it was very young Tony Summerall. This happens. Now he's older Tony Summerall, you know. And we shot it, and Shay cut it, and it was like, I don't know, 45 minutes or something. And he just goes, God, this is horrible. I hate it. It sucks. I had no emotion for the character. And a guy who was an editor, but he had worked one or 2 days on the show, and he goes, let me take a look at it. And in the thing, we do these fake interviews as the character, right? He takes one of the interviews and he winds the first half around this interview. So it bounces kind of back and forth, young kid, older, until it gets to a point where it can take off from there. And it cut the story down, and it made it believable. You didn't have to try to figure out here's little young Tony's life.
Right.
It just weaved it in to my interview.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, here's the question, here's my answer, and as I'm answering now, here's where that goes into the movie part, and it comes back and answers, and it worked.
That's awesome.
But again, it was like someone else had to come in with a different perspective and go, let me take a look at that, and say, oh, if you do this, it makes it more human. Now you bring the human element in, because you're taking that interview, and you're taking what they're saying. It's like, oh, well, they said that, but because they said that, it led to this, so to speak.
Yeah, and people don't realize that every film takes a village, a multitude of people. It's never just one. You need more perspectives. You need a lot of crew. You need creative people. You need, so much.
When I spoke at Podfest, I talked about that too. It's like, look, I love that you're doing this all by yourself. I need a partner. I can't do it. I won't do it. And I know that. I sat on the idea for 10 years and did nothing. I need a partner. I need someone to help me do certain things. I need someone to bounce ideas off of. Same with film.
Yes.
I say I produce it. We all produce it. Like, my name's on there, but it was a team, and I don't want to do it all myself.
It's not as fun.
Can edit. I'm slow. I'm frustrated, but I'd rather sit with an editor who's going to and go, that doesn't work. Change that shot.
Yep.
You know what? Make sure his arm goes all the way down. Don't stop it here. Give me 3 frames. I can do that all day.
Yes.
But I can't do this. You know? And I know my strengths and my weaknesses. I can't run the camera.
Yeah.
Someone showed me enough. I could do it.
Eventually. Yeah.
But I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't like camera work. I remember freelancing for some company who is really awesome, and they were filming a orchestra concert at one of the symphony halls, and they gave me an Apple box with a giant-ass tripod that was way taller than me, so there was no way that I was going to hold it properly. But after that day, I knew that I'm not a cameraman. I'm not a cameraman. I can direct, I can edit, I can do all these things. I can do sound design, but I'm not a camera person. And same thing with even like having a DP. Like sometimes I don't want to have to worry about that part too. Yeah. You know, I want to focus on that main story and pushing everything forward and relying on that DP to make sure the composition is right. And so
you got to have a crew, man.
Yeah.
I like being the SWAT team. You good? You got everything you need? We're good for tomorrow? You good?
That production management. Yeah. So my ex used to say, he used to tease me a lot because I did production management for various things. And he would say, you're not a production manager, you're a project manager. He works in IT. And I'm like, I know it's similar, but
people say, what's it like to make a movie? I'm like, it's like building a house.
Yeah.
You want to do a short, you're making a cabin.
Yep.
You want to do a low budget, you're building a house. You want to do a medium budget, you're into a duplex or a quadplex or something like that. Making a Marvel, you're building a skyscraper.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like there are so many levels. Yeah. There's no one's building a skyscraper by themselves. You know?
It's funny because we've kind of moved into this media angle, and that's fine with me. I could talk about this all day, but I do want to ask, just to kind of bring humanity into it as well. Do you feel that film and any creative medium is a proper representation of humanity, or is it romanticized and we're not quite there yet to where we're real enough?
I think it goes back to the story. I will tell you the story of the chess player, man. It's a human aspect of this kid, and at the end there's a redemption with his father, or a reconnection. My Luchador, it's a love story between this couple that has to do with, and it deals with luchador wrestling, you know. It's the story. We did one on the Civil War. It's really a love story, but it deals with passing information between the North and the South, you know, in the African-American slave trade, slaves trading information. So everything it's the story, and there has to be a human element in the story. Yeah. Or you're not going to connect. You're not going to watch it. I think that's humanity. I think some things have desensitized humanity too much. You know, definitely violence. Like interviewing Roy Rogers' granddaughter. If you showed Roy Rogers' TV show to a 13-year-old today, they're going to be like, "Oh, that's boring," and you know, nobody died. There's no blood. It's like it was a distinct good guy, bad guy. You know, now it's crossed to where the good guy, it's hard to tell the good guy from the bad guy, even though the good guy, he's still just murdered 25 people. Right. That were the bad people, supposedly. Yeah. So I think the violence, that it's changed that feeling humanity that we don't know we don't know who the good guy is. We don't know who the bad guy is anymore. Politics have done the same thing. They've pitted each other against each other. Well, he's a good guy. Well, not on this guy, So I think that, and I think entertainment has had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag for sure. You're speaking about polarization. You're speaking about how, and this is not your words but mine, but how the media has been discredited, how press has been discredited, all by just a few words and a few insinuations that, oh, it's fake news, it's biased, all kinds of perspectives that just kind of infiltrated the press. And so credibility is everything when it comes to journalism.
Yeah.
So,
but they have done that a lot to themselves. I worked for years at Inside Edition.
Sure.
Which isn't news, but it's a news magazine. I can't tell you how many times it was, here's the story. It's a great story. It's a good story. What's the negative? Well, there isn't a negative. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
There had to be something that was negative.
Yep.
Even in journalism now, it's
sure. You see a lot of stories that kind of,
Well, because they each have their agenda they want to lean to. Very few people will give you. There's a little magazine called The Week, and it's still print, but they will give you an excerpt from this paper, like both sides of the story from different journalist perspectives, because each one has their own way they want to slant the story, right?
Sure.
And then you can read and make your own decision, or at least kind of.
Yeah.
You don't get that a lot. It's like my dad watched CNN during COVID the whole time, and I was like, Dad, let's meet outside. I'll do a COVID test. I'll put on a mask. We'll be 20 feet apart. Oh, I can't take that chance. I'm like, we're doing everything they tell you. It's just it's very frustrating. Of we've got an agenda and we're going to go the opposite of them.
Yeah.
And you can't bring people to the middle easily anymore.
So that search for the negative stories, to bring those up to the forefront, that reminds me of how in television, in news, that slogan, if it bleeds, it leads.
Exactly.
Right? And then as far as like press and journalists, like written journalism, visual journalism, there's a lot of pushback, and I think that it's going to take some time for the public to kind of gain that respect back for some that are telling decent stories that are in the middle, or both sides, even, because no one believes anybody anymore. It's just a huge mess.
There's three sides to every story.
Sure.
Your side, my side, and somewhere there's the truth.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean that what you're saying isn't true, because the perspective from that side of the table, you're seeing back here, my perspective, I'm seeing over there.
Yeah.
We're at the same place, same time. We're just, our perspectives are different.
Right.
And so you have to determine what.
And I've always been a non-single source person. Why would you only read one news source?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you read 4 or 5? And why wouldn't you read some from the other side as well?
Yeah.
To see what it is that they're thinking and where they're coming from, because how else are you going to learn?
Yeah. And I think a lot of that did change with 24-hour news when CNN came out, and then others back in the cable days. And of course, social media, man, there's just ruined everything to the point, not ruined, but just tweet it once,
right?
Whether it's true or not,
right?
And trying to then defend that, is almost impossible.
Yeah,
the defamation is already there, whether it's right or wrong or true or not. And back in the old days, they'd run a headline, and of course, when you proved it was wrong,
retraction,
third page, little paragraph retraction. Again, no one ever went back and go, hey, you know what? We made a mistake, which sucks for the people that get hammered by it.
If you could share a message with humanity, what would you tell them?
Ooh, what would I tell humanity? No one gets out alive, so you gotta put the phones down, put the news down, put the noise down, and sit across the table and have a conversation. I've got a lot of friends. You met Bill back there. Bill and we're not completely opposite on political, but man, we'll sit and have a conversation. Neither one of us hate each other for thinking whatever we think. It's like, we're all human. We're all here in the same spot. nothing, neither political or right or wrong or is going to save the world, right? You know, the world can become all left, and it's not going to. We're still going to destroy it. It can become all right. We're still going to destroy it. If humans don't change the way they interact, we're going to destroy it. And technology doesn't necessarily make it any better for us or for the world. Mm-hmm. One-on-one conversation. Doesn't mean you're going to like someone all the time. Doesn't mean you're going to agree. Doesn't mean you're going to become best friends. But man, stop killing each other. That's the crazy thing. People will kill each other in a heartbeat for no reason. Mm-hmm. And that just blows my mind. I mean, I've been mad at people, and my parents always said, dude, you know, be mad at your teacher. You're not going to get a gun and go shoot somebody. That's just the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
How can you be that mad at someone that you're willing to not only change their life, kill them or whatever, but you're going to ruin your own life and everyone that you love.
And they love.
Yeah. So it's like, let's take a deep breath. If you don't like someone, walk away.
Walk it off.
Walk away, yeah. I like that. Look at humanity, walk it off.
What's your forecast for humanity? Do you think we have a shot at getting better? I know you said, you know, we can destroy each other, and we have the ability to do that, most definitely. But I feel like there is, and this is why the show exists, is because I feel like there is still a little glint of hope in that sharing, you know, these stories of humanity with other people can inspire to help them be better humans, aka that humanity 2.0. What's your forecast?
I think that humanity can get better. I am one of those guys who believes that the human race will become extinct at some point. Mm-hmm. Whether we do it, whether nature does it, whether we go to another planet, you know,
aliens,
whatever, you know. But I think we're stupid to think that we're the ultimate species that's going to stay forever. Mm. There were a million species before us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's crazy to think that we're going to be around forever, so to speak. In that meantime, I think that we need to be as kind to one another. We're not always as tolerant. And I'm talking about myself when I say this, too. I'm not always as kind to people as I should be. I'm not always as tolerant as I should be. I get so frustrated very easily. I am the old guy. Get off my lawn, you damn kids, you know, with society today. Mm-hmm,
well, you kind of earned that right, though. You've lived a lot of life. So at a certain point, you kind of get to be that crotchety guy. Yeah. I think. Within reason.
I tell you, you know what, a good movie for humanity?
What's that?
Secondhand Lion.
Oh, yes.
Go watch Secondhand Lion.
Secondhand Lion, yes. Yes,
love that
100%.
Movie.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Why not give them a couple other recommendations? You got another two?
Ooh. For humanity?
Yeah, why not? This is the Humanity movie series. Ooh. Let's go.
I still love Raising Arizona.
Yes,
I'm not sure it's humanity in there, but
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it sure is. It's, you know, humanity needs to laugh too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hilarious. I love it. I mean, think about the music. You know, like that's genius.
Yeah,
simple, and you still remember it.
Oh yeah.
Like you just think about the movie and you hear the yodeling or whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's. I need to watch that again.
Oh, me too. I want to see the baby.
Yeah, good. Go look on to Vimeo.
Yeah.
And look up My Luchador by Shay Sizemore. 13-minute little love story. It's about love. An older couple in love where, you know what? She helps her husband get to a place he needs to be at that moment. Oh. No matter what the consequences are going to be in that ring. Mm-hmm.
That sounds good. Tell us the why behind what you do, and then tell us what you do. Why?
Because I want to learn what other people's lives are like that might have similar experiences to what I've been through or what I'm going through or where I might be going. What I do is I do a podcast. It's one thing called Relatively Famous, where I interview relatives of famous people. How do you stand in the sunshine? How do you make your own sunshine standing in the shadow of so-and-so? and I sell AV equipment. I do that because, I don't know, it gives me something to do. I'm 65 at the moment. I don't want to retire. And podcasting is not every day. My producer owns the company. It's like, hey, you know what? I'll go shake hands, get us in the door. It's another chance again to talk to someone and hear their story. I think like you, I like hearing stories. Did that answer your question?
I don't know. Did it? Part of the trick with interviewing is just staying quiet and letting the person go on and on and on and on. And then you just say even more. And then, you're having tacos.
Kind of like this.
Exactly.
What did your childhood smell like?
Oh, that's a good one. Wow. Are you asking me? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. I would have to say tortillas because we grew up making all of our foods.
Do you make good tortillas?
Oh, I do. I've had a lot like you, a lot of life experiences where I've been, without a home, with a home, in between places. And so, yeah, I've gone to film school twice. I've worked in nonprofit space. I've done so many things. And then I toured the country for 4 years, interviewing strangers on happiness and being production management, starting my own company, and then having to pause because I had severe burnout for a year and a half. And then I came back to everything in October, only to now be going through so many life transitions. And so life happens. And I think that it's what we do in the interim. What do you do when life happens or when something bad happens? Do you cry about it? Do you get angry about it? Or do you just pivot and do something about it? Because that's my thing. I think
all three.
Yeah.
I think we do all three.
Yeah.
Because you do. So when someone says, my life is this one, I was like, if I hook you to a heart monitor, the line's going beep, 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 beep. Mm-hmm. If it goes beep, that's not good.
No.
So life has got its ups and downs.
Yeah.
If it's not going up and down, if it's this,
yeah, that's not living.
You're not living.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so wonderful.
Yeah. Got to have the valleys with the peaks.
That's right. Well, I'm leaving you guys with Chip now. Chip is the new host of Humanity 2.0. I dub thee. No, yeah. I think you have such a sweet life. I just find it so hilarious that you live in my hometown in San Antonio. Like, that's just crazy.
We have some property outside of Kerrville, so
nice.
We kind of get to...
You got a little bungalow, get away.
Got a little ranchette, we call it, so I can go pretend I'm a cowboy with no horses or cattle. All hat, no cattle.
You just walk around like the Marlboro man, just kind of like, yep.
Yeah, it's my piece of property. Shoot guns at the side of the hill, hey.
The last time I was here was, I think... I want to say it was my mom's funeral because she passed last year, and I came for that. And I stayed with my sister, and so when I come through now, it feels different,
Same when I go home. I love going home. I love going to the North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach area. I love going. I've got friends there that I don't see them all. Get to see some. I love going. I love it's home. I love going to the restaurants and remembering the places in life where I was. I'm also glad to leave, but when I'm leaving, I'm melancholy about leaving.
Yes. Yes,
I don't want to stay.
Right.
Because it's not my life anymore. Yeah. Could it be? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's like, no, I'm ready to get home or to my bed or
get
whatever.
Back to your life.
Right?
What you were.
But as I'm leaving, I'm like, oh man, I really wish I had another day.
Yes, I'm exactly the same way. Yeah. And then I get home and I'm like, I'm glad to be home. Yes. But what's funny is that with all this traveling that I did, and I'm sure maybe you might feel the same, I'm not sure, but I believe it was in the movie Juno. She says that, there's something about coming home when you've been away for a long time. And it's true.
Yeah.
When you come home, you're just like this euphoric, presence, and it's amazing. And you're just happy to see your pets and your family. And it's almost like,
in your own bed.
Yes, take your shower in your real shower because no one ever has the right pressure. I love leaving so I can come home. That's what it is.
Same thing. And when we were moving to Texas, my wife was like, are you going to be okay moving to Texas? It doesn't matter where I live. I'm going to find something to be miserable about.
Yeah.
You know what? San Antonio is great. Is it hot in the summer?
Heck yes. That's like...
yeah. Is it crowded? Yes. But you know what? It's good. I'm
good
happy
people,
here.
Good food.
They got an international airport, and I got a car.
Yep.
I need to go.
You got a farm.
I can get out for a while, right? So anyone who keeps chasing that if I just lived there, if I just had that job, you're always going to be miserable. If you're not comfortable with like, okay, I don't necessarily like this job. I would like to have that other job, but that other job's not going to make you happy.
Yeah.
If that's what you're thinking about. You know, I love living in this little town, but I want to live in LA. It's like, go to LA. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you can be just miserable there if you think that's going to bring, if that's what your happiness is. It's not. Your happiness has to come with it from inside. Am I happy every day? No. Sometimes I hate myself. I hate looking at the man in the mirror. And the other days, like, hey, dude, you're
pretty
good
cool
for an old man. You know?
You're doing pretty good. Yeah.
You're good for an old man. Hey, you know? So I think that's the same thing. You know, look in the mirror, and you're not gonna love the person there every minute, every day. But if you can get like, you know what? Okay, I'm all right. And there's just some things that we can't do that other people can do that will like I am, like I said, not tech, I'm not computer. I mean, I get so frustrated and just lose my shit because something's so easy for that guy I can't do. And then that guy's looking at me going, dude, I can't make a movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, making movies easy. This is hard. No, this is easy. That's hard. I'm like, so you have to remember, you're easy is someone else's hard. Your hard is someone else's easy, and that's okay.
Gosh, you have so many wisdoms today. But I really enjoyed that you said that you live in here. I love that so much. I'm stealing it.
Absolutely. You know what? That's the point. It's like, you know, if we're chasing happiness somewhere, you're not going to find it. Be happy when you get there. Go, wow, isn't this a beautiful place?
Yes. Yeah, I realized that during the traveling, especially on the West Coast with all the beaches and SoCal and everywhere that I've gone, really, I didn't have a lot of time to stop and look around well, I did have the time. It was my fault. I didn't stop and look around. I did in San Clemente. I did then, but I didn't always do that. And I realize that now. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty sad that I didn't, stop and really look around. I was just focused on the stories and deadlines and getting everybody, situated and I've had the pleasure of shooting some corporate videos in some amazing little tiny towns and shooting some films. And I love that, man. You go to those little towns like, dude, they got 35 different kinds of pie in that restaurant. I'm here for a week. I can get 10 of them. Yeah. Exactly. Tell everyone where to find your show, socials, all that good stuff.
Okay. So it's Relatively Famous. You might have to also put in Relatively Famous with Chip White because look, we're not original. We're not an original title. People have done. There's nothing original in this world, right? There's 8.2 billion people, so I can find an audience. It's called Relatively Famous. We're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We are on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, pretty much any of your podcast platforms for the audio version. Again, it's Relatively Famous with Chip White, little red, white, and blue logo. We have a Facebook page, Relatively Famous. We have an Instagram, Relatively Famous. I think I might have a Thread or an X. I really don't know. There's a TikTok somewhere that I'm not sure. I don't really know how to use, but it's out there too.
Yeah, so you're everywhere.
Yeah, and then you can also usually find me under the Chip White under some stuff or Chip White. So I'm pretty. You're fairly active on it. Try to be. I'm not great at it, but I can answer your question.
Be sure to check out the description of the episode and check out Chip's links for everything that he just mentioned. And then also Podfest. Podfest, shout out to Podfest. If not for you guys, we would not be here. This little TED would not have happened. So thank you, Podfest. And for those of you who don't know what Podfest is, go find out. Visit the link in the description. And don't forget to join us next week for another wonderful episode of Humanity 2.0 podcast. And don't forget also, above all, be good to other humans. Chip White, you are fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Humanity 2.0 podcast is brought to you by Vanessa the Vivacious Productions. Want to be a guest? Visit the link in the episode description for future guest opportunities. Ready to podcast like a boss? Join Podmatch and begin your Podmatch journey via the link also listed in the description. Subscribe to Humanity 2.0 podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Follow and help support the show by buying Humanity a cup of coffee via buymeacupofcoffee.com/Humanity 2.0 podcast. Above all, don't forget to be good to other humans. See you guys next time.